Good evening. Welcome to Prime Time with Faisal Rasheed. As you know, I try to bring as many different topics as possible, and that is also to create business and financial resilience to my viewers. And also today, we are going to discuss accountancy, how important accountancy is in a business, SME market, and in any business really. And for that reason, I have a guest today who will be joining us through a link. And the Mr. Akar Rana from accountancy. He is a chartered accountant and also a management accountant with over 20 years experience in the UK. They are also specialized in tax advice and tax planning. So let me welcome Mr. Akhtar Rana.
Thank you very much, Faisal, for inviting me here to discuss a very important topic that you have mentioned.
Really good to have you, Akhtar. And I think this hour we're going to have a really good conversation and also create some really good awareness about around accountancy and how important it is, and how much difference it can make to somebody's business if you have the right accountant and the right advice. Before we start, it'll be really good, Mr. Rana, to know a little bit more about you, about your experience, and for our viewers, it'll be really important as well.
Yes, sure. Thank you very much, Faisal. So basically, I come from accountancy and tax advisory background. So, like we have mentioned, I'm a chartered accountant as well as a management accountant, and my specialty is the tax planning and tax efficiency and tax advice for different type of businesses. So during my career, I have worked with a large number of companies in the private sector including multinational companies and big organizations, and also as a practicing accountant I have worked with mostly small and medium businesses. That's where we specialize in, and we are happy that we are able to help a lot of small and medium businesses in terms of their not only their compliance and accountancy needs, but also in terms of their tax efficiency and planning. There is a huge misconception, obviously, when it comes to the accountants and the accountancy among the businessmen and also among the common people. Usually, they are thought of as people who help you file your tax returns, but that is only one aspect. I think there are many other aspects of an accountancy profession which we will be discussing during the program, obviously. But I would like to make a point that it is very important that people understand the true role of accountants so that they can get the maximum benefit and advantage in terms of their business from the accountants. So my experience is mostly in the practice with the small and medium businesses. That is where we specialize because we feel that large organizations can basically afford expensive tax planning and tax efficiency advice. They can go to big firms, but mostly the small and medium businesses, they don't have that option. And obviously it is shocking to know that large number of small and medium businesses overpay their taxes, and they overpay their taxes only because they don't understand, first of all, the accountancy side, and secondly, they don't get the right advice from their accountants. So I think we are very happy that in our practice we focus mostly on helping small and medium businesses to
Brilliant.
manage their tax
I will come on to that. We will discuss, of course. Initially, obviously, we wanted to know a little bit more about your background, and which we think it's really good that we have you on our show today. SME market, as small businesses, is a very core part of our economy and in any country's economy, and it is very important that they get the right advice from accountants in order to actually improve their business, and also with the right tax planning and right accountant, I'm sure that can happen. So in terms of let's talk about the role of an accountant for a SME business. What would you say? What is your day-to-day role in a SME business, which is important? from your point of view?
So the role of an accountant, especially for the small and medium businesses, is very very critical for their success. Because as we know, mostly the small and medium business owners don't have background in accountancy or taxation, and they cannot afford to have in-house accountants as well. You know, the full-fledged qualified account because of the cost concerns. So it is very important that obviously for them and their business, the role of external accountant is very very important, and there are many aspects to that role. So first of all, I think what they get from an accountant is a business advisor,
Yeah.
because of the background of accountants in working with small and medium businesses, different type of businesses. They are actually expert in financial affair of the businesses. So as an advisor, small and medium businesses can get very useful advice from the accountants, whether it's setting up the businesses, whether it is running the businesses, because on day to day
Is it
basis
is
a
it
business owner.
important? Is it important to for any business before starting up a business they should contact accountant and find out exactly, maybe business plan. So they have to actually make lots of businesses actually fail within the first year, perhaps because I was personally when I was used to work for a bank, and I used to provide that business advice. And there has been lots of startup businesses fail because they don't have the right planning, they don't have a proper business plan, they just go there with their own kind of, oh, I want to do this and then I've got that much money and then here you go, and there is no planning behind it. And if they consult with an accountant and have a right business plan and proper advice with the finance, where the money is coming from, and the cash flow forecast is also very important, then there is a big chance of them surviving over a longer period and perhaps forever. So would you agree with me on that basis?
That's exactly very correct, and this is where a lot of businesses fail as well. Because, as you mentioned, this SME is an important sector of the economy. A lot of people have very good business ideas. They start a business, but then they fail. And mostly, in our experience, what we have seen is the failure has nothing to do with their business idea. Their business idea is most of the time very solid, very good business idea, but they fail to concentrate and focus on the basics, which is the financial plan, the business plan, financial forecast, and the things, other things which are related to their costings. For example, to give you an example, if if an online seller starts a business, they have very good product, they have very good market, but they fail to basically work out their pricing strategy properly. They don't know their gross margins, they don't know their net margins. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, their decisions for the procurement of their goods and also the sales price don't match up. And
Yeah.
although they are able to generate a lot of revenue, they'll see their sales are going up, but at the end of the day, when they sit and then obviously take an account of their financial affairs, they will see that they are incurring losses, they have
Yeah.
cash flow problems. So as you have said, it's very important that even before starting a business, in order to have more insight, you should consult with an accountant or a business advisor who can guide you in terms of your pricing structure, your costing structure, your gross margins, your profit margins, and then some, and can also provide a forecast of 2 to 3 years, where you will be able to see in financial terms whether the business is basically feasible or not, and then you can adjust your pricing accordingly. And many businesses, when they start, they also fail to consider the tax aspect of it as well. For example, VAT, when they
Yeah.
set up prices for their products, they basically fail to understand that as their revenue will grow, they will have to pay the VAT as well, and they don't take into account in the their pricing structure.
Yeah, there is
And
actually some of my clients who are, the car garages, and they buy and sell cars. I mean, high-end cars as well. So, I mean, they are struggling because obviously when they sell the car, they can't charge VAT to their clients because they're going to say, well, why I'm paying VAT and stuff like that. So they have to incorporate that in that price, selling price, that VAT, and it is quite, I think, killer, I would say, for most of the motor trade businesses, and because there is a huge competition, and this VAT aspect is quite, some of my clients are really struggling to make money because they have to pay 20%, VAT, and there is not much margin in the car trade. But anyway, that's separate issue. But you're absolutely right that they have to consult with the accountant before, and whether their turnover is going to be around 90,000 or plus, whether they have to at what stage you will have to register as a VAT, and then you can actually preempt and plan properly your pricing structure accordingly. So when that happens, then suddenly if you haven't planned, and you will get a big shock. So that's absolutely fine. Let's coming back to, I try to in my program cover very basic aspects of the topics as well, because there are certain viewers they might not know anything about, but certain viewers might know everything about what we are talking about. But we have to actually just start from the basics so that everybody understands. So how important it is to decide the structure of your organization before start up a business. For example, whether you want to start sole trader, partnership, limited company, LLP, which company structure you want to start your business with, how important it is, one, and how you can actually change that moving forward after 2-3 years down the road, and obviously there will be more implications if you do that at the later stage. So my main point is that how important it is to get the right structure of your organization from the start.
Yes, so this is hugely important point that you have highlighted. That business structure of a business is critically important, because when you start a business, you have various options to register that business with the HMRC and with the tax authorities and obviously the company's house. Either you can work as a sole trader on a obviously in your personal name, or you can establish a partnership along obviously along with your friend or a colleague or other people, or you can form a limited company. Now each of these structures has many tax and legal implications. So before you register your business, it is hugely important that you must explore various options that are available depending upon your business plan, your revenue forecast, and also your long term goals. The problem here is a lot of people, to give you an example in simple terms, so a lot of people when they start a business, they start as a sole trader and they start selling less, again going back to an online or e-commerce seller. So they'll start a business, start selling on eBay or Amazon, or open a shop, and they don't consider the implications of the tax and legal implications of that. Once their turnover reaches to a certain extent, they end up paying very high rate of tax as compared to a limited company, and that is where then they struggle in terms of
Yeah.
then restructuring their business. And then some of the time they panic as well, and they take further wrong decisions, and then end up in a situation whereby it's difficult to carry on running a business due to huge tax liabilities and due to other compliance issues. So it is very important that even before you start a business, you should correctly select your structure, and this is where your accountant and tax advisor can help you hugely. And that help will translate into a lot of not only obviously financial benefits, but also help you avoid any compliance, legal or tax issues down the line. So it is hugely important that aspect is taken into consideration. And mostly, to be honest, especially small and medium businesses, because they don't have an idea, these business owners don't have a clue about obviously the tax and the legal implications. So they just start a business with a good idea, and then as the time comes and when it's too late, then they realize they have to take a proper advice, and most of the time they go to the accountants at the
And
very
it's too
last,
late,
and then
and
it's
then they
too late.
say,
Sometimes sorry, it's too late.
and then
Either
they
when
say,
they
it's up to accountant, you sort it out now.
exactly Exactly, and then the situation becomes very complex. Although obviously the accountants, based on their experience, do are able to help their clients and all that, properly advise them. But still, I think in order to avoid major issues, then it's very important that the structure of the business is determined and even before starting a business. It's very important.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely correct. And we are discussing lots of starting up business and the implications of not having the accountancy advice. We will continue our talk just after a short. Welcome back. We were having really interesting conversation with Mr. Rana before we went to break. Let's continue our talk with Mr. Rana. And Mr. Rana, welcome back again. So let's move on to something really important, which I have experienced with my clients quite a lot, which is not having a bookkeeper or not having any sort of software like Zero, or there are so many different ones, and not getting your day-to-day transactions on one platform. And after 12 months or so, you're trying to find your receipts and what happened and all that kind of stuff. And then you get lots of bank statements with number of transactions, and obviously it's a lot of work for accountants to deal at that point. What would you say about having a bookkeeper or bookkeeping service from their own accountant? How important it is that?
So the bookkeeping, which in simple terms means keeping day-to-day records of your business, including your sales, purchases, bank transactions, etc., is very very important. And being a business owner in UK, the bookkeeping can help you in many aspects. So, for example, it can help you manage your cash flows efficiently, because if your business transactions are recorded on a software, and there are many options available these days, depending upon your budget and obviously your affordability. There are many options available if you want to do your own bookkeeping. But I always recommend the clients to basically the business owners to go for the
Yeah.
bookkeeping service from accountants, because accountants will be in a position to better manage your business transaction, better record your transactions in an accurate way, which will help you avoid any HMRC penalties down the line, because most of the HMRC penalties come from inaccurate records, which the businesses obviously fail to maintain proper records. And then also, if you have proper accounts, if your bookkeeping is done in a proper way, it is very easy to obtain funding from the financial institutions and the funding organizations, because if you are organized, you know your profitability, you have your profit and loss accounts, you have all your ledgers, all the records, then it is easier for the small businesses to basically access funding from not only the mainstream banks, but also there are many funding organizations from where you can obtain funding. And one of the in our experience, one of the main hurdle, although sometimes the businesses are very good, they have very good margins, very good turnovers and all that, but they struggle getting funding. The problem here is because they fail to maintain proper records, and they don't have any bookkeeping system in place.
That's a
And that
very,
that,
very
that is
good
where,
point. I think you
so
made
that
that is
is
very, very good point. It's related to access to funding. So when you're looking for funding or from any organization, or you're looking for a loan or business loan and stuff like that, at that point, the lender do require and do actually want to see your exact accounts and how you are managing your business. Basically, that's really, really important, because they are actually giving unsecured funding to a business where they expect that they run it properly. If they don't run it, then their money is obviously at risk. So it is very important. So please can continue.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And not only that, obviously these are internal benefits of having your bookkeeping in an organized way, but there are compliance issues as well. For example, with the making tax digital nowadays, if you are a VAT registered business, then there is no option, you have to keep your records digitally, and you have to file your VAT returns digitally through the HMRC approved software. And now from this year onward, the income tax has also become under the making tax digital regime. So which means the businesses and the individuals have to keep the digital records, and they have to use HMRC approved softwares. And again, this is where your accountants can help a lot, because they subscribe to accounting softwares where they can provide you the same service at a very very competitive cost, because sometimes it's not affordable for the businesses to have direct access to the accounting softwares, which is most more costly, and they don't have any obviously expertise in terms
Yeah.
of reconciling their transaction and using those software. So I think this is again a compliance issue as well. If you are not keeping your accounts accurate, you won't be able to file your VAT returns, you won't be able to keep your income tax returns in order, and any subsequent investigations, which nowadays, because of the artificial intelligence and all that, the HMRC is also tightening up their procedures. So that's why there is a high likelihood that you might come under HMRC radar if you are not accurately keeping your records, which don't match. For example, your figures don't match with the bank, your costing and expenditure does not match with your business transactions. And so the HMRC is now in a position to basically know all those discrepancies in business records through the AI, and then the businesses can obviously be in a position where they will be, obviously they can have trouble with the HMRC. And then, to in order to avoid the penalties and any issues with the HMRC, if you are keeping accurate business records, you're doing your bookkeeping properly, you're using the right software, and you're using the right accountant who is helping you with the bookkeeping, that will bring you not only internal benefits, like I have said, good decision making, fund access to funding, access to invoice financing, etc., etc., but also make sure that you are complying with the relevant tax laws and other laws. And it will also help at the end of the day, if you have accurate records, that will directly help you minimize your taxation under the rule, because if you know your
Exactly.
figures, you can
But
employ the
also,
tax strategy.
yeah, so the main point also is that if you keep your records accurate, it can avoid any penalties in the future. So there is no
Right.
brainer, is it? I mean, the same information you have to provide after it's been requested and you don't have it, and then you have to suddenly accumulate everything. If you do it as you go along to your business, like every weekly or monthly basis, then you can avoid any penalties, and you can actually submit your tax returns on time, you can submit your accounts on time, and you don't even have to wait for 9 months after the year end date of your company. You can do it after 2-3 months, because if you've got it all into you doing like draft accounts through bookkeeping, and you've got the draft accounts, all you have to do is the accountant has to just make sure everything is correct and then submit the accounts. And after end year end, you can actually do that in a couple of months. And that is really good practice to be in, rather than, I mean, most of the clients I do actually experience as well, their accountants will be waiting for and further 9 months, and the last day they won't even pick up the phone, and they say, oh yes, last day of tax return and this and that. Why you have to wait till end? Why you have to wait till 31st of January to submit the tax return, when you can actually do it 9 months before? So I mean, if 5th of April ends, you can actually do it end of April, May, June. You know what you've earned over the last whole 12 months, if you have those accurate records. It's correct, isn't it? Why you have to wait? Or
Yes, correct,
most of
and
the
that's
accountants are
absolutely.
waiting till January 31st. I don't really get that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And with the especially where the level of transactions is very high, it brings a lot of inconvenience and problems when you defer these matters to a very late, after 9 months, like you have said. At the when the deadline is there, then you start working on it, and then it creates issues for your accountant and for yourself. Not only that, but also as a business owner, then you are in a bad position, because your tax returns and your accounts may not be accurate, because if you
Yeah.
are doing it on a regular basis, like you have mentioned, on a monthly or a quarterly basis, then you have the opportunity to review the figures on an ongoing basis, make any adjustments, and take benefit of many many tax advantages that you can avail, rather than if you delay filing accounts and tax returns, then the opportunity is not there even for the accountants, because at the last day, accountants will just focus on compliance. They will just focus on filing your tax return and accounts to avoid any penalties for non-filing. Not They will not be in a position to assess your business situation, assess your finances, and offer you tax and financial advice. So that is very important, because if you want good advice from your consultants, from your accountants, it is very important that you should keep your records on a regular basis. And nowadays it's not a rocket science. It's not very difficult, because
Yeah, yeah.
I would like to mention that with the AI now, it is very easy to scan your receipts, scan your invoices, upload on the system, and the system recognizes. So it's not like old days where you have to obviously accumulate thousands of receipts and thousands of invoices, and at the end of
Yeah.
the day someone has to sit on a computer and make a list of all the invoices. And this is not nothing like that. So AI has made life easy for the business owners and for accountants as well. A lot of accountants, including ourselves, we offer packages which include all these services at a very
Yeah.
competitive price. So it's just a matter of basically changing your habits and making sure that you are managing your business in an efficient manner, which can bring you a lot of advantages, like I mentioned. If Another point that I would like to make is very important. If you are keeping your records accurately and filing your tax returns in a good manner, in an efficient manner, if you decide to let's say sell your business, then you will have a very good price. You will, because the buyers will have a
Yes,
confidence
absolutely.
in your financial
Because
records,
it'll be
and I think
profitable
you can
and
have.
yeah.
Exactly, and the accurate financial records will provide an additional assurance to your buyer, and you can get a good price for your business. Now, look at you. If you have a very good business, there are no proper records available, no proper bookkeeping, no proper tax returns, and all that. Now, this the buyer will obviously, once they examine your records and everything, they will have no confidence
No
in
fun.
your
And
business,
and
and
also
then I think.
even if they agree, because they might think the nature of the business is such and such, and I can make it better and stuff like that. But when they go and try to get the funding from the banks needs to see all that information, then they won't get any funding. So then they have to
Correct.
actually have that funding in place in a cash term, for example, in the bank account, in order to actually buy that business. How many people have hundreds of thousands of pounds? Not many. So of course our whole economy is dependent on funding and business loans, and dependent on banks. And this is a very good point. If you want to sell it, then it needs to be accurate, and you will get the right buyer. Yeah. So
Correct.
I
Correct.
think discussion is going really good. What else you think for a SME, because that's what we are focusing on, and it is, most of the issue is within SME businesses, where they do not really focus on these kind of aspects of their business, where they can actually maximize the opportunities, maximize the opportunity of getting more funding from the bank, or even invest. If business is doing really well, you can buy more properties and you can invest through that way. And so it is very, very crucial. Is there anything else you think that at this point of time, whatever we have, the topics we have touched base, is important for our viewers to know?
Yeah, so in terms of the bookkeeping and the record keeping, so we have discussed many obviously advantages and the problems that can be avoided by having accurate business records. But there is another obvious important aspect, is the long term viability of the business, because for a business owner, they need to know accurate position of their business in terms of their true margins, like we have discussed, gross profit margins, net profit
Yeah, net
margin, their
profit. Yeah.
cost, their financial ratios and all that. If you don't have your accurate business records and record keeping, you will not be in a position at all to understand your own business. This is very important. I mean,
Yeah.
other things
Yeah.
are important as well, but as a business owner, you have to know whether your business is profitable or not profitable,
Yeah.
whether
Sure.
you can improve the profitability of your business by cutting down certain costs or no, whether you can improve your margins by having a better pricing structure, better gross profit margins and all that. So this is very important. This is all linked to your record keeping. If you don't have accurate record keeping, it will not show you, it will not provide you any input in terms of your own understanding and own decision making. And this is where a lot of businesses fail, to be honest. I understand. I meet a lot of businesses, especially small and medium businesses. When you talk to them, they are in a financial problem, they have cash flow problems, but when you look at their turnover and the business level, they're very high, even millions. So I've seen clients where their turnover will be near to 2 3 million pounds, but they're struggling in terms of cash flows. Why? Because they are not keeping their records accurately. They don't manage their cash flows correctly. They just look at their sales and say we are very profitable, which is not the case. They ignore other aspects. And this is, I think, a very important point, that by having accurate record keeping, you will have insights into your own business, which you can never have without, obviously, having properly recorded your transactions and having the financial reports which are then generated on that basis. So this is very important as a business owner, I think. And with the technology, like I said, with the technology and with the modern, obviously, the facilities and the options we have, it is not a rocket science, not very difficult. And I think,
Absolutely.
especially with a lot of competition in all business areas, whether it's like you mentioned garages, whether it's e-commerce sellers, whether it's shops, competition is very high. So in order to beat the competition, you have to be on top of the figures of your business, your
Absolutely.
profitability, your costs, and everything.
Absolutely. Brilliant. So, viewers, is really, really important for a successful business, and not short term, for a long term period. Let's take a very short break and come back. Come back. Let's continue our talk with Mr. Rana. Mr. Rana, so before we went to break, we were talking about the importance of record keeping and how it is beneficial to your business, not short term, long term basis. I'm going to move on to a little bit some changes in company house and some HMRC. So please elaborate a little bit more on the making tax digital. We did touch base on it, yeah. But there is also something, we will come back on this because I want the viewers to really understand and grasp that information about making tax digital, what it is, why it's been done, and what you can do to make it compliant for yourself in the future. But before we discuss that, let's talk about this director's identity company house. What is that all about? Initially they were saying that if you've got like 5 companies, then you have to do it for 5 companies individually. Now I think you just have to do it once, and then you get the reference number, and then that can be used every time what you submit. I mean, I don't know, whatever changes you need to do in the company house, submit your yearly return or something like that. So explain a little bit, what is it, and then what viewers or any small business needs to do.
So basically, in simple terms, every business director who runs a
Is it just the
company in the
directors
UK.
or shareholders as well?
No, the directors. So
Only.
sometimes you can be a shareholder, but if you are not a director, then you are not required to do the ID verification.
Even
So
if you are a
basically,
100% shareholder.
of course, yes, yes. So
Okay.
shareholders are not required to do the ID verification. So ID verification is for only the directors. So this is the first thing. And second misconception, as you have mentioned, is that maybe if you are director in 4 or 5 companies, different companies, then you have to do the ID verification for all of these companies, which is not true. Being a director, you have to do your ID verification only once. So once you do your ID verification, then your ID is automatically linked in the company's house, um, to all the companies, and you can use the same code to basically do the filings, which is especially the company's house filings, like confirmation statement or annual statement and accounts and all that. So you can use that, you have to use that ID to basically file your returns. Now, why is this and what is this? So basically, the compliance side on the company's house, they have enhanced the compliance. So which means now they require all the company directors to physically verify their ID, who they are, or for example, where they are resident, their ID documents and all that, so that any issues related to that particular company can be linked back to a particular director. So this is very important, because there are many reasons behind it. Obviously, in the past, people have been running the companies, but then when it comes to the tax issues, tax obligations, other legal issues, it was very difficult to basically trace the relevant directors, and obviously from the company's house or from the regulatory bodies point of view. And then with everything becoming digital, which we have referred to making tax digital, everything is becoming digital now. So with this digitalization, it is more important, and also I think useful, to have digital IDs. Like for every director, you'll have a code. So that code will help not only authorities to compile all the information related to yourself, all your companies at one place, but also help, maybe in a way, help you to manage uh, your multiple businesses in a better manner. Once you have the digitally recorded, and there are multiple other things that will come up, which will make life easier, I think, for directors, especially having
So this
multiple.
code, so basically the director has to do it themselves, or is that accountant can do it on their behalf?
So there are two options. One, the directors can do them that directly as well. For example, when you open a bank account, then you have to do an ID verification. Sometimes when you go for some other type of services, you have to do ID verification. For example, mortgages,
It's as
etc.
simple
So
as
what you
that, isn't
do
it?
exactly. So what you do is basically use your mobile phone to verify your ID. So that's the same thing. So you have two options. Either you can do it yourself through the link, and you will input your information and use your mobile to take your selfie and all that. Very straightforward. Or if you're not able to do that, then you can go to your accountants as well, who can physically verify your ID, take the documents from you, take see the actual documents, verify that it's your ID and all that, and input all those details in the system, and then you are verified. So the important thing here is, a lot of people delay it. The deadline has already passed, but still there is no penalty for that. So I think what I will advise is, all the company directors must do their ID verification as soon as possible, so that when it comes to filing their annual returns, there is no delay, and there are no penalties or fines and all that, just because you failed to do your ID verification. It's very easy, nothing to panic about, and no problem at all, very straightforward. And you can get this help from your accountants as well, if you are not able to,
You
obviously.
are absolutely right, and I can vouch for that as well, because it is very easy. I have done it for myself, and it took me like 3 4 minutes. It's really, it's not a rocket science. Trust me, you can just do it yourself. Anybody can, whoever can use the phone, they can use this ID verification. You just have to Google it. You might be getting emails as well from company house. There is a link. You just click and then just follow the process through, and you can do it yourself. So that's a very, very good point as well. But of course, your accountants can help with that as well. Of course, they will charge, because that's their time as well. So you better do it yourself. Right. So just moving on to making tax digital. Um, so is it only for VAT registered companies, or is it for non VAT registered companies as well?
So slowly we are moving towards a larger making tax digital regime. Now, what is making tax digital is basically, it's a requirement, legal requirement, to keep your records digitally, and file your tax returns and other compliance documents digitally through an HMRC approved software. Now, as a business, you have to file various type of tax returns. For example, you mentioned VAT. Now the VAT returns are under MTD regime now, which means you have to have your VAT related record digitally maintained, and then you have to file your VAT return through an HMRC approved software. Now the next in line, which has started now, is the MTD for income tax. So if you are an individual, you are earning, or a landlord, for example, or a sole proprietor, you have a shop or other small business which you are running as a sole trader. Now under the new rules, if your turnover is 50,000 or more than 50,000, turnover, sales, not the profit but sale or turnover, is more than 50,000, then you become under the MTD for income tax, which means you will have to file four returns rather than one return you
Yeah.
have to file number one, you have to file four returns in a year, which is on a quarterly basis. And secondly, you have to do that by maintaining the digital records in a software, and you have to file that those four returns in a software as well. So
So
three will be
those
provisional.
softwares could be any. Are there any software which are compatible with HMRC softwares, or could be any software,
Yes, so there are HMRC approved and compatible softwares. There are
such
many
as?
available, and if you have an accountant, then accountants will provide you with that facility at a cost effective, obviously, prices. But if you want to do it yourself, then there are many options available, and it's not a problem to find the software which is HMRC approved. But just make sure, double check with your vendor that it is HMRC approved to avoid any problem down the line. So basically that these four returns, so three returns will be provisional, and then you'll have an opportunity to make an adjustment in the last tax return. So it will encourage a lot of business owners to start, obviously, keeping accurate records
What
of
we
their
were
business.
talking about, the record keeping earlier, I think that is something to, forcing people to do that in any way, because if that makes it compulsory, making tax digital, that will make businesses to, have a better quality of record keeping, and using those softwares where they can actually print out very quickly or see their draft accounts, what's happening quarterly basis, what is the turnover, what is their net gross margin profit, net profit margin, what is the net profit, and how they are doing, and where they are actually spending more money, and where they can actually cut the cost. So quarterly basis. So I think it's very, very good to look at your business snapshot on a quarterly basis, and you can make some decisions for the next quarter, and that's how you can actually improve your business as well. I mean, most of the people are saying, oh, well, why HMRC is making it so difficult and all that kind of stuff. But in real terms, really, it is for individual businesses benefit, and they will make it good use of that eventually.
Yes,
So,
correct.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
so one of the downside is that obviously it's a lot of compliance involved. So people, lot of business owners, they even fail to file one return annually, and they struggle to do that. And
yeah.
then when you have to file four returns, then obviously there is more compliance, and there is more cost involved as well. If you have to hire an accountant to do that, then obviously there is more cost involved. So the compliance and the cost is there. But like you have mentioned, it's very important that with their that cost and compliance cost and the financial cost, you also benefit from it, because it will encourage you, and obviously that will help you to adopt a practice of keeping your records systematically, accurately on a software, which can help you understand your business better as well, manage your business better, and also have give you more access to, like you said, funding and all that, and basically do your tax planning and tax efficiency as well in the long term by looking at your business. Yes, so there are benefits as well, and few
So,
downsides.
which entity it is for then? I mean, is it for sole traders, or is it for limited companies, or LLP
So
partnership? What?
So currently, MTD is for self-assessment, that sole traders and landlords. So individuals who are carrying out the business or renting out the properties. So that is for the individuals at the moment. But later on, these can be, obviously there is likelihood that this can be extended to partnerships, and that eventually to the limited companies as well. There were original plans to introduce for corporation tax for limited companies from 2027, but now those plans have been discarded, and I think it might take a little bit more time to bring in the MTD regime for the limited companies as well. But that doesn't mean that we should not adopt the habit of having our managing our business transactions and business records in an efficient manner. I think everybody, like we have discussed, we have done a lot of discussion on that. It's important that even if it's not still MTD for limited companies, but it's a good practice to keep your records accurately. And plus, if you are VAT registered business, even if you are a limited company, you have to obviously do the records digitally anyway.
Yeah, no, that's very useful. And in terms of limited company, there is no announcement as such that this MTD is going to be for limited companies as well.
Correct.
But at the moment, it is purely for self-assessment purposes. Sole traders as well,
Yes, sole
or
traders
sole traders and
and those
self-assessment.
sole traders who have more than 50,000 in terms of turnover.
Okay, so from next year, is it from next year April onwards?
Yes, so if your turnover during the tax year which has concluded in April 25, if your turnover was more than 50,000, then you have to start filing your quarterly returns this tax year. So
Next
the
tax year.
reference
Yeah.
so the reference point is the tax year 24-25, which has already ended. So you have to
That's the
file.
reference point. Okay.
Correct, correct.
So if it's under 50,000 turnover, then what happens? So then you don't have to do
Then
anything.
exactly. So you don't have to file for tax returns. You don't have to keep records digitally, but continue filing your tax returns as before at the end of the year, once in a
Okay.
year.
And 26, 27. So if your turnover is less than 50,000 in 26, 27, year end 27, still you don't have to do anything, or is it changing? The turnover is changing.
Yeah, so let's say if your turnover during 24-25 was above 50,000, then during this tax year you have to file that four tax returns based on the previous year and do those four quarterly returns. But let's say if your turnover drops to, let's say, less than 50,000, and you expect that that is on a permanent basis, then you can deregister yourself from the MTD ITSA,
Oh, in the future as
because
well. Okay,
you
okay, okay.
exactly. So you like VAT, it's the same thing. If your turnover drops below the VAT threshold, then you can go ahead and deregister your company
Okay,
or a
okay.
business from the VAT. So same will happen in the MTD ITSA as well. So if your turnover drops below 50,000, if the threshold is not decreased, because we are hearing that maybe from next year the threshold might be 30,000. From
This is where I
50,000
was
there.
coming actually, because I did hear about the 30,000
Yes.
threshold as well. So that's where I was leading to. So
Yeah.
it is not at the moment. So it's not confirmed that it's going down to 30,000 from
Correct.
next year. It's not confirmed.
Correct. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
currently it's 50,000, but there is high likelihood that that will be dropped to 30,000, and then eventually to maybe 20,000.
Okay, okay, brilliant.
Yes.
That's good. So I think we covered quite a bit today. Is there anything else you think of in terms of lots of people say how to save tax and all that kind of stuff, but
Yes.
there are ways of how you actually take the salaries. For example, there is a tax-free allowances are what 12,570, is that right? 12,570,
Correct.
and that has been just in the recent announcement by the Chancellor that threshold has been frozen for the next quite a few years now, till 3031, I think. Which means anybody is going above threshold and get some pay rises, they will be paying more tax. This is where the talk is coming that they have increased the taxes this way. However, just to talk about the best way of limited company directors to take wages, is that right to take 12,570,000 a year as a director's wages, and then you take the dividends, but now obviously from next year dividends tax has also increased by 2%. So obviously it's not been welcomed by the most of the SME market, because they're already making ends to meet, and difficult to survive. Businesses are not doing extremely well at the moment, and paying more tax, obviously it's really bigger cost to them. What would you say on that?
Yes, so it's very important that you have mentioned. A lot of people are scared of taxes, and especially the small and medium businesses. But I want to assure them that there is no need to be scared. They are scared because they overpay their taxes. This is the problem. They don't get the right advice, and what they do is they end up paying a lot of taxes and less saving for themselves.
You're absolutely
But
right, because
as
I have seen few of my clients, when I look at their accounts, look at the assessments and everything, and I just see they are getting like £40,000 salary as a director, and I'm saying, what? Why you're getting this
Yes, correct. And
£40,000 as a salary? You're paying 20%
so,
tax plus NI.
correct.
It can be easily reversed, which
Yes,
is
exactly. And
allowed by the HMRC.
yeah, exactly. This is the point that you have made, that basically, if you get the right advice, then you will be able to bring your business tax efficiency, and I think you will end up paying lot less taxes. In my view and in my experience, sorry, I have seen that you can easily save 5 to 10% of your turnover in terms of taxes. So let's say if your turnover is 100,000, you are overpaying 5 to 10,000 taxes more than what you should. So you can easily save 2 to 3,000 pounds in terms of taxes if you are a limited company, and you get the right advice. Even more than that, by employing various options that are allowed within the tax law. So you don't need to evade the tax, but you can make your business more tax efficient by having a right advice. So whatever you pay, what I, as an accountant, what I, how I see is, and I tell my clients that, look, I mean, the fee that you are paying is 20% of what you will be saving in terms of the taxes because of our advice. So that right advice is very important. If you get the right advice from the relevant experts, then it will really help you to cut your taxes, make your business more tax
Brilliant.
efficient, and then you will not be scared of taxes. You are scared of taxes because you are overpaying them. And as per HMRC statistics, more than 80% of small and medium businesses overpay their taxes because they don't get the advice, correct advice from their accountants or business advisors.
Brilliant. Mr. Rana, thank you so much for your knowledgeable advice and discussion. We really enjoyed it. I'm sure the viewers must have enjoyed it as well. It's more information, and that's all I'm trying to do, is create some more awareness, bring some guests with some different topics where we can share some good information and knowledge. Viewers, thank you very much for listening today. I will come back next week with another new topic. Most important thing is, please text me, give me the feedback, let me know what other topics interest you, and I will bring those topics and guests accordingly to bring that information to you. So thank you for tonight. Have a great evening, you with your families. Look after yourself, look after the people around you, and goodbye.